Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Jackrabbit Illustrated. Thank you so much for joining us on the last week of the regular season. As always, thank you for joining us on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and X pages, as well as the FFN YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every one of you watching. We are also very appreciative of our title sponsors, the title sponsors for Jackrabbit Illustrated, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, with 10 locations across the great state of South Dakota. There's always an orange dealer near you to get into any piece of equipment you might need for your home, acreage, or farm. They've got everything from skid steers, side-by-sides to tractors and anything in between. Get down to Kubota and get in some orange equipment today and make your life a lot easier when the snow starts flying. It's supposed to start tonight. You know, you might be a little late, but they got stuff to take care of you. Yeah, I saw your look, Ben. I saw a report this morning that there's a potential for a dusting tonight. So
no,
into Wednesday morning.
I have heard that as well.
Give me some snow. I want to use my sled this year. But as we are speaking, down in Vermilion, the volleyball team is on the verge of sweeping the Coyotes in 3 sets. They're up 19-13. They won the first 2 sets. They got pretty much every break their way. The Yotes got every break their way in the second set, and they still persevered through. So they're having a hell of a. They're not letting up this time. They're not letting them get a run on them like they did up in Brookings. So that's going to be great, and that also will seal up the Summit League volleyball title sole first place, I believe, if they win tonight. So that is awesome. So that's my update on that. How are you gentlemen doing in this fine evening?
Hold up. Obviously we know who Thumpy is, but who is Frumpy and Grumpy in this?
Am I Frumpy? My wife would say I'm Grumpy.
That means Ben's Frumpy.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I love Derek Amix. Let it snow. I know what he really means when he types that out. So,
oh boy, the Rev's here.
Hi, children.
Everyone talk nice about how he did on the Big Boy Show on FFN on Sunday. Now
he's their favorite podcaster, obviously.
He's kind of their Chad, is what he's become with managing managing all the comments and everything.
Comments in the background,
and jumping in and saying stuff. That's what I got Chad vibes off of him on that one there. But seriously, if you are looking for a good preview of potentially what the bracket might look like, a bit of I'd say dumbed down, not saying that they're dumb or anything. I'm saying it's a dumbed down version of how the committee goes through and selects teams. It gives you a little insight of how difficult that job is to select the seeds and everything else, and how much more difficult it's going to be now that they have to do 16. I do recommend watching the FFN show from Sunday, even though they did it at the same time as the A team. That's why we watch it now. It's on YouTube and then all that jazz. And they have the FCS Gold membership and everything. You could listen live or now and any other time. But obviously the A team is the one you really got to get to, of course.
100%. Ron, you just worry about beating Montana this week.
Yeah.
Before you start calling out losses in Bozeman.
Y'all should be worried if. Yeah. Sorry.
I do like Bobby Houck's burner phone parody. Says he's going to go with Ayat again this weekend. Really thinks it's the best coaching decision he's ever made. Montana finally picked a quarterback.
Sort of.
And
have they? We won't know until this next game.
Wow.
If they don't go with Fife, they're just stupid. That's my opinion. But
I agree.
If they want to win, he's the one that's going to get them the W, not the other guy.
Right. Anyway, back to Saturday. It was a good time. Had a nice little tailgate. It was a little quiet, but the crowd turnout was pretty good. The game itself started out pretty sluggish. The first quarter was very sluggish, in fact. A lot of just mistakes on offense, I think. Just kind of kept us from getting really the momentum going early. But then the second quarter, man, just couldn't stop them. They really got into a rhythm, which was really good to see. We've been talking about how awesome this defense is, championship defense. And with the offense getting in a groove like this, it's a really, really good sign. It's really what you want to see heading into the postseason. I would have liked a little better second half, but overall, I think it was good.
I mean, the second half I think is pretty. It was pretty easy to tell. They let off the gas a little bit. You got the backups in there. I mean, yeah, we'd love to have them have success, but and it's not like they didn't have success. They did score points. You know, it's just you're not calling quite as aggressive an offense and everything else either. I mean, geez, this is a 41-10 win. You know, you gave up some points on the back end there. Otherwise, it could have been a shutout. I mean, nothing wrong with this performance, in my opinion.
I agree.
Mark's really it feels like the passing game's starting to find its rhythm now. Starting to figure out what works, what doesn't, what guys are working and which ones aren't, and how to get those guys open. We have to shout out the 605 Hogs. We haven't talked about them very often this year, and in retrospect, we probably should talk about them more. I believe it was Sam Herder who tweeted out, "You've only given up 4 sacks all year."
That's crazy.
That's absurd. That is a silly stat. I without checking, I would bet that that's even better than they did last year, which is wild. And I do really think the Hogs are getting a little underappreciated with the performance they're putting in. Now, don't get me wrong. Mark's legs and veteran decision-making absolutely lends itself to that stat as well. People don't realize that pass blocking is a lot more than just the O-line, keeping the quarterback clean. There's a lot of times quarterbacks will run into a sack on their own or not hit a hot route or whatever. But overall, I mean, that is an incredible number. It's the lowest in FCS. They've really been in their bag, and they've only been getting better. And I would hope that at least Bernstein and Miller are going to be All-Americans this year, but we'll see what happens with the voting on that. But they've been studs.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the 605 Hogs, they've been looking good all year. And I think what's really helped the run game get going is the tight end blocking. It looked really, really good. Those young guys are learning how to block, and it's showing. Both Alpers and Stoffel you see out there quite a bit in those heavy packages, and it's going to be a problem for other teams because you start seeing them catching passes too, and it's going to be tough to stop once they get in those heavy packages, and you got to load the box up to stop them. There are going to be some open throwing lanes to those tight ends, which I will love to see. Looks like the volleyball team just swept them. Very nice.
Sweep them. Smells dusty down there because they're sweeping.
Also because there just aren't that many fans there, probably.
No, there's a fair amount. A lot of them are blue.
I was going to say, we probably have a fair contingent of fans down there. The one thing I'd mention that we kind of touched on during the A-team is they do block really well, and they've seemed to figure it out. We just need a little better consistency. They did miss a couple here and there, and it wasn't one particular person. So got to be 100% on them blocks. Give your quarterback time.
For sure. Yeah. I love seeing Brenner's been playing a lot too. Love seeing him in there leading the way. I think just all that combined has led to a running game that is really, really hard to stop. Especially, Amar Johnson, we have to call him out. He had a really, really good game after, a couple where I don't think he produced as much as he would have liked to. This one, man, he went off. He looked really good. He was seeing the lanes really well, cutting towards daylight and just taking off. And that was really, really good to see because especially with the way that Angel Johnson's been playing, man, the combo of those two is really hard to stop. As soon as one hits one, the next one's right behind him. Angel Johnson just looks like every time he touches the ball, he looks like he's going to take it to the house. And he's just getting, tripped up with an ankle here and there at times. But man, they're, combined, they are really, really good.
Yeah. Amar was, that man, he was going to show out on senior day, and by God, did he. Especially if you consider his receiving yards in there as well. He had well over 200 yards, all-purpose yards that game, I believe. And then, he was going off, got 2 touchdowns. It was great. But the one I really enjoyed was the touchdown by Angel Johnson with 14:42 in the second quarter remaining from 5 yards out. He runs through. It is a massive hole, and there is one defensive back standing there, and Angel is absolutely fast enough. He could have just walked left or right and just walked into the end zone, but he looked at that guy and he gave him the Hack City get after the week and just said, "I'm going to embarrass you on the way to scoring this touchdown."
Oh yeah,
ran straight through. It was the best.
Yeah, he made a decision there. Like he could have easily went left or right, but he's like, "No, I'm going right through you."
And he had 15 yards right or left, and with his speed, nobody's catching him at that angle. And he just looked at him and said, "I'm going through your chest, and you're not stopping me." And he did, and that was so fun.
You just rolled him.
Yeah, just trucked right through his chest. That was amazing. And you love having a running back with that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's not a short yardage guy, that I am a big believer that pays dividends throughout the game as it goes, especially when you've got defensive backs coming up to be the last guy, standing to stop a touchdown. And, oh, by the way, this guy might run through your chest. It might make him think about hesitating and making a little bit of a business decision. If you do that on Angel, he's gone. But no, overall, that was just a play that stood out to me that I really, really enjoyed from a football sense. But God, it was Amar's day. It was Senior's day. Mark was on. He was in his bag, and I know it's going to be another thing. National guys are going to be like, "Wow, he was only 11 for 17. He only had 190 yards." Yeah, in 2 quarters, right? And
right.
We've watched Mark long enough to know you can watch and you're like, "Oh, he's on." And don't get me wrong, he had a couple bad throws, but Mark was on. The run game was chugging, and if this team just has gelled and developed throughout the season like they needed to, like you'd want them to the point where I'm not saying like I'm calling that the Jacks will be in the Natty or they would win in Bozeman or would win in Fargo, but I don't feel like panicked that, oh no, we'd be on the road in the semifinals. Like, okay, we'll be on the road in the semifinals. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. I think this team has it in it to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're peaking at the right time. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to piggyback off what Brendan was saying, I don't, even with the eye test, this isn't the same team that was up in Fargo and lost that marker game. This is a completely different team. They've come around on all aspects of the areas they were maybe lacking in that game. And some of that's on NDSU having a really good defense too. I get it. But I like our chances. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, the development that the passing game has seen since that game in Fargo is huge and will pay dividends in the playoffs. Somebody mentioned Voorhees. It is nice to see him back. He looks like he's healthy again. And when you can run 3 running backs in there and not have much of a drop off, and it sounds like we're going to see Maxwell Woods in the playoffs too quite a bit. So good luck. Just the way this, like we said, the Hogs are playing, and the way the tight ends are starting to block, and the way Mark is starting to click with the receivers, Ogroski, flashing, making some tough catches. I would not want to play this team right now. And we've talked about the offense a lot, and obviously we have to mention the defense. just game after game, they just look so good. And, you know, they gave up the one touchdown, the guy fell down. But man, they're just so hard to get big plays on and to get any momentum on. You can get a first down or two, but man, they clamp down and you're just done. And it seems like when they get in those 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 positions, man, do they fly to the ball. And it's really, really hard for those teams to gain a yard on them. And so, I mean, I think we're going to see it in the playoffs where, you know, I think teams are going to second guess whether they should be going for it on 4th down against this team, because they've just been lights out in those situations. The defensive lines looked really, really good. Just so deep, rolling so many guys through and just getting really, really, really good pressure on the quarterback, even when we're not blitzing the ball or blitzing on throws. Shout out to Joe Ullman coming in after the targeting penalty on the first play of the game. I think Darren said he wants a targeting rant. And I mean, I think everybody knows that, like, there should be a change where you can look at the intent. Clearly, Bach had no intent of you know, harming that guy. He literally let up as he was going to hit him, and he caught him with his helmet as he was letting up. And you could see it clear as day by the letter of the law. Yes, it was a penalty. But obviously there was no ill intent there, and he should have been able to stay in the game. And it's really, really stupid. I mean, I get it. They want to just get it out of the game completely. But, man, it's too harsh of a penalty to have that happen. And, I mean, yeah, it sucks that it happened on senior day, but I'm more worried about it happening in, like, a playoff game. I mean, imagine it was the national championship and that happened on the first play of the game where, you know, a guy goes to make a play, he lets up, and he still gets called for targeting, and he gets ejected on the first play of the game. And it's, you know, the best defensive player on the field. And it's just like, when the rule is like that, it's open to those really, really awful situations, and there's nothing they can do about it because that's the way the rule's written.
Yep.
Well, and we all know, like, officiating crew to officiating crew, official to official, they call the game slightly differently because they're people, they're humans. That is what it is. And both of the targeting calls in this game were called down from the booth. Yep. And I think that replay official specifically either had a hard time admitting they were wrong, asking for a replay, or they were just out to they're very touchy on targeting. Because I don't think the one on Southern Illinois was really targeting either from the replays I saw on the video board, and they ejected that guy. And both of them got called down by the booth. And in my opinion, unless it is egregious, like, I don't think this even needs a rule change. I think it needs to give a talking to your replay officials that you don't call down and stop the game for a borderline targeting. You stop the game if it is for sure targeting and egregious. And
I mean, the problem is, though, I mean, those refs, they get graded, right? And so,
right, put that in your grading. Use some common sense. We can use common sense here.
But they're not getting graded on common sense. They're getting graded on the application of the rule book.
That's what I'm saying is it's not that hard for them to tweak with their grading that, okay, we've told you that if this is not egregious, don't call down. And then you can grade them on that oh, this wasn't egregious, and you called down and stopped the game anyways, you know. Because if we're gonna say that, then now it's the same argument for if you make levels to it for like a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2 in basketball, you're gonna have the same argument of, well, it's the letter of the law and they're getting graded on it, and there's gonna be the gray area there too. It was just yeah, I mean, there should be an option for a penalty without ejection. That would, I think, be what everybody wants. But
Agreed.
the argument they all make is, well, then it's a judgment call, and we don't want judgment calls. We want black and white rules, and that's
why we have refs, is to make judgment calls.
Yeah, if we didn't,
I mean,
otherwise, fire up the AI. I mean, I'm all
Right.
about robo-umps anyways, so why not?
But I think to your point, the fact that the crew on the field didn't call it or see it, and it was light, is where we really get into the problem from the coming down from the box.
And you can say, like you say, they get judged and graded on their calls. Well, I think every football fan is aware there is holding somewhere within the offensive line every play, and it doesn't get called because we use judgment on whether or not it is egregious enough or not to call.
But it's not.
So we can't do that on the replay official calling down.
It's not a
didn't hit his head back or anything.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
That is weak.
I'm telling you, that's why.
Book. I know. I'm not saying you. I'm saying that is hide behind mom skirts of the rule book. Baby time fucking argument. Oh God, I did. Sorry.
Oh, was that the first F-bomb this year
of the season?
No,
I was trying to make it the whole season.
It is not. No way.
It is. It is. I'm pretty sure.
Somebody needs to go back and count.
Yeah, because. Yeah, I don't know. But that is the thing that really irks me about it, is that it was called down from the booth both times and then called. So somebody was either told to make an emphasis of it this game, which we had a lot last year. You remember that last year there was a ton of replay for targeting that got called down all throughout the year, and that seemed to go away, thank God. And now all of a sudden this guy brings it back. But this defense is incredible. Looking at the stats, I mean, to have the defensive performance the starters did have, to the point that they swapped quarterbacks. And granted, we know that their quarterbacks aren't great. Replay official can lick me where I pee, Chris. He says he's gonna call down on the thumpy F-bomb. But this defense in conference play, they're averaging 9.9 points surrendered per game, leading the conference by a full 3-point margin over NDSU, and then everybody else is even further away. Considering that USD's defense is considered as good as SDSU's defense, but they give up like 5 more points per game. Playing a softer conference schedule is pretty entertaining to me. And then on the year as a whole, they're averaging 12.7 points per game. And I know the stats nerds are going to come at me. Alex and his bromance, Tim Rosario, are going to come at me with points per game don't matter. That's based off of style. And it's actually, the efficiency per play. No, it's points per game that matter. I don't care how efficient your defense is. I don't care how efficient your offense is. How many points a game do you put up? Because that's what wins the games. They don't put up on the scoreboard that SDSU was more efficient with their offensive plays than the opponent. They put up the points per game. So that is the stat that matters in the end. Period. Whole story. End of story. And offensively, we're climbing up the rankings. We're up to 37.7 points per game and number 4 in the conference. But then in conference, we're in the same spot, but we're only averaging 35.8 because of playing NDSU and USD. So,
yeah. But back to before the rant, I shortly mentioned Joe Ullman, but he looked really good. He was flying around out there. He had that massive hit on the wide receiver, and it was clean, nice, clean hit. So yeah, really good to see. We heard the news. Cullen McShane left the program. That's too bad. But we are definitely deep at the linebacker position, and it was shown when Bach got ejected in the game. Anyway.
Zach bromance is crazy. No, those two love each other, and it's okay. I'm here for it. I love the stuff they put out. Tim Rosario put out a stat today that's just quirky stat stuff that you find when you're a stats guy, and I love those sort of stats. And it was that between SDSU and and USD, we faced the exact same amount of running plays this season so far, and there's a 1 yard allowed difference between the two of them. It's almost identical amount of yards allowed on those plays, which is pretty wild. So yeah, I love that sort of stuff. I'm not hating on that. I just want to give them a little bit of shit because
well, I mean, when Timothy puts a stat out like that, we might have to check in if Alex had to make a quick trip to the restroom or something.
I bet. Oh, jeez. Oh my God.
Maybe that's too far. I'm sorry.
That's.
I would agree. Anyway,
I bet he replied.
Anything else on this game?
Oh, he didn't.
No,
I got nothing. I'm trying to see if Alex retweeted it or not.
Oh, you may not have. I did not.
He didn't. He must not have seen it yet.
Okay, well, alone time for later then.
Here's the actual stat. SDSU and USD have both faced exactly 336 rush attempts in 2024. SDSU has given up 1,052 yards. USD has given up 1,051 yards.
That is kind of crazy. Speaking of those two, did you mute me because my child is loud?
Yeah, and it was starting to feedback, but
all right, I'll tell him. Anyway, you want to pull up the?
He's supposed to be watching and making outlandish comments on the YouTube, anyways. What's he doing? Is he letting us down now?
He's playing video games with his friends.
All right. Enough.
Pull up the MVFC standings and go over those while I go beat my kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Get the rubber hose. The phone book, it doesn't leave bruises. NDSU's in the lead. They have locked up, I believe they guaranteed at least a share of the conference title against Mo State last weekend. Obviously, our SDSU and USD are tied at 6-1 with Missouri State for second place in the conference. Then it goes down to Illinois State at 5-2. Looks like they've locked up the playoffs pretty well, especially since they get to play UND at home. And then you got Indiana State, who had a sort of surprisingly good season with 3-4 conference record. Then Youngstown State, North Dakota, 2-5 record for North Dakota. You remember when they were ranked in the top 10 this year? That was fun. That was good times, huh? And what did we all say on Jackrabbit Illustrated? Let's wait until they play outside the dome.
Right.
And they did, and now they're 2-5. And
that was based on that one game with Montana, who has had an up and down year as well.
Yeah, who has proven to not be as impressive as once thought. Southern Illinois, poor Saluki's 1-6, 3-8 overall. Then UNI, Mark Farley is in fact not going to get sent out in style. They are 0-7 in conference, 2-9 overall. If you'd have told me this would be a thing probably 10 years ago or 10, 12 years ago, I'd have just absolutely not believed you. That'd be crazy. Then poor Murray State. They're getting there, So they're doing it. They show up every week, so they're there. Sorry, Mike.
We love having you. Keep coming back.
Please keep coming back.
We don't mean to trash your team. They just make it so easy.
I mean, they did cover against Kentucky. They got that going for them.
He said they would too, right? Wasn't that in Scared Money? He's like, they're going to cover.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. That's what they say.
We've fallen for that before with Murray too. I've fallen for that. I believed in him. And I don't want to talk about my picks and Scared Money don't make money. Needless to say, I got screwed by 3 backdoor covers that week.
That'll happen. Anyway, going to the top 25, you got NDSU sitting at the top, Montana State number 2, SDSU 3, USD 4, UC Davis 5. Incarnate Word checking in at 6. They are there's some varying opinions on how good Incarnate Word is. I think they're good, but I'm biased because I saw them play in Brookings, and I think that Calzada is the real deal. I get that they don't have a marquee win, but I think that they'll make some noise in the playoffs. I think they're an eye test team, and yeah. Anyway, other than that, we've got who else from the Missouri Valley?
It's going to be Illinois State down there at 14,
and that is it. And we'll be looking at 4 teams from the Missouri Valley in the playoffs. There is no chance of getting another one. I would think that Illinois State, with their win over Indiana State, is pretty much a lock, even if they would lose to UND, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
They've got 8 wins. I don't know if one of them's a non-D1. I don't think so.
Jeez,
you got me too.
I'm just catching up on the comments. Screwed my back doors. Your cousin. Yeah, I've I heard she had her own line of products even.
I was trying not to address that. I didn't even.
I've already ruined my F-bomb streak.
Might as well just tank the show.
You're
all coming down with me now. We're going to rock bottom. You're gonna live in the mud with me.
Problem is he's used to being there, folks.
That's right. Don't wrestle with a pig because they're used to being in the mud. No, with Incarnate Word, I don't think they're number 6. I don't think they're number 6 good. I just don't.
But I wouldn't disagree necessarily, but when you look at how they're going to have to seed them, it's not like USD can be seeded at the 4. I don't think to play out that way.
I don't think Montana's a top 10 team either for that record.
Exactly. That's the problem.
12
is that if you don't think Incarnate Word 6, who is? The problem is there just aren't that many.
Pull back up again. I want to see who's ahead of them again.
There aren't that many top teams this year.
A second. I pulled it completely down.
SoCon's a fraud, Kevin. Can't even beat 3-win teams.
What? Which? Brendan? What? Brendan? What conference?
Don't
South
do it.
Or SoCon. Fork. See, I could have doubled up SoCon.
SoCon.
That was gonna be so good, and then I peed it down my leg. No, who do I put above UIW? Scroll down a little further. Mercer should most certainly be above Incarnate.
Yeah, record-wise.
That's not even a question.
Richmond, but Richmond's got a terrible loss.
Mercer's 9-1. They have multiple ranked wins. UIW has legitimately jack shit nothing that they've beaten. Nothing. They have no ranked wins. They have nothing. They squeaked by Southeastern Louisiana. They squeaked by Stephen F. Austin. You cannot look me in the eye and tell me you actually believe that Incarnate Word should be over Mercer. And if we're going to go with eye test, then we have no criteria, and let's just vote however our feelings tell us to. Montana lost to Weber. Come on. It's terrible. And yeah, Abilene Christian lost to... they lost to North Alabama. Yeah, but Montana also lost to UND, which we've seen is embarrassing to do. I'm not sold. I just feel gross having Montana in there. I'd probably flip Incarnate Word and Mercer spots. And, maybe I wouldn't have Richmond in 10 either. I'd have Rhode Island there, if anything, of the CAA teams, because Rhode Island has a tougher SOS right now.
Who's Mercer's big win against?
They have 3 ranked at the time wins against
they're like
Western. I don't care. They're better than anything that's even appeared on Incarnate Word's schedule in the Southland.
It's just
period. End of story. It's not even a debate.
when your ranked wins are like number 21, number 23, and number 25, like
at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, who has name one team that Incarnate Word's beaten in a manner that would impress me that is worth a shit?
That's not the point. I mean, I feel dirty even saying this because I remember arguing with people about it, but they can only beat the teams that are on their schedule.
That's right.
I don't know if Zach's asking me who the hell I would put beside if this is in concerns with Montana. I think I already said I'd have Abilene Christian over them.
I don't know. I think the point is that after the top 5, it's
a mess.
It's slim pickings. But anyway, do we want to talk about
every team is not good in the SoCon?
Come on, Kevin.
It's such a you know what? You want to do this right now because I'm itching for this fight.
We don't.
Kevin's gonna be mad at me, and it's gonna be fun. The SoCon needs to stop embarrassing itself and losing to 3-win teams in the conference. That's not the SoConing. That is choking. Stop choking, or you're going to have to change all your team's colors to purple in that conference because you're choking so goddamn
The purple conference.
Yeah.
The Grimace conference.
The Grimace conference. No, it like if it's Chattanooga losing to Western Carolina, okay, that's SoCon going to SoCon. Losing to 3-win Wofford is not SoCon going to SoCon. That is choking. That's what it is. That's choking. If SDSU lost to 2-win Southern Illinois last week, that's not the Valley gonna Valley because SDSU's played them every week and plays them all the time. That's choking. That's all it is. End of story. I don't care if they're in your conference and play you all the time. Don't lose to 2 lost teams. It's choking. Furman choked. I don't care that it's insane how bad they choke. And I'm sick of everybody giving up SoCon gonna SoCon. They just kind of let them skate by with that. It's such a lame excuse. SoCon gonna SoCon is French for choke.
Oh. Yeah, well, too bad some of those people can't play in the playoffs, Kevin. So they're kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Anyways, in the end, I'm super glad that we don't have to try to pick 16 seeds out of this mess because you get down to like 13, 14 seeds. Like, oh my God, dude. That's it. If I was the committee, I would be tempted to be like, all right, guys, we're going to vote and do a poll. And then once that poll's done, if anybody has major arguments, we can argue about those things and sort that out and then have votes on that. But otherwise, our poll is what's going to count. And then after we put the AQs in, it's the top teams that are left. What is it? I think there's 14 available. Whatchamacallit, 14 available at larges. I might be wrong off the top of my head. But we're just taking those top teams off of that poll, and then that's how it's seeded. The end.
Yeah. You if you'll go watch the FCS Fans Nation guys try to pick that the top 16 seeds, yeah, you can tell that it's rough. And somebody mentioned think we'll cut back to 16 teams. You know, if the SCS continues the way it is now, probably should. You know, with as many teams that have left, you know, you hope that other teams rise up, but man, years like this, it doesn't look good.
So, I just want to say the reason I get irritated by the SoCon isn't because I don't like the SoCon. It's because I genuinely want the SoCon to do well. And if the SoCon would have not had 3 teams trip over their dicks this weekend, we wouldn't have the dang CAA looking like they're going to get 5 seeds or 5 at larges possibly. That's not, imagine coming to the general and attempting to play. That's not parity. That's choking.
There's parity within the conference. but compared to the rest
doesn't
of the
mean
FCS,
it's a high level of quality.
It's not parity across the FCS.
Yeah,
but
this year is a tough year with that larges and everything.
Yeah.
It just is. But we are behind on our sponsors. I don't know if we even mentioned Culver's as our show sponsor. The B team is proudly brought to you by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown, but it stretches even further than that because our boy Kevin, who I was just arguing with, love you, buddy, tweeted us about getting Culver's in South Carolina. And he's down where there's deep barbecue, but he still gets Culver's because it's awesome. A little bit of good old-fashioned Wisconsin fat, greasy burger with cheese curds never goes wrong. Or get that beautiful, beautiful yellow cheese sauce and get a blue and yellow meal that way. Culver's were a better brand of beef, makes a butter burger better.
And you know why he chose Culver's over barbecue down there? It's because when your options are pork and beef, you always choose beef.
I'm getting cut block when I'm in Frisco again this year. So Culver's in Brookings, we're a huge fan, obviously. There it is. Rep says he gets Culver's because barbecue in South Carolina sucks. It's not Wisconsin barbecue. That's a Friday night fish fry. Culver's is where it's at. They are our show sponsor. We have been partnering with them for a while now. Get your Scoopy tokens with your kids meals, and get them some free frozen custard. That's the way to go with that. And then, of course, our segment sponsor for the rankings and everything else is Cubby Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Brookings. They are the number one sports bar in South Dakota and the number one place for you to catch all the Jacks action for any sports. They've got all the watch parties for everything except for football for tournament selections. And boy, there's a lot of them with how that athletic department is humming along right now. So a lot of watch parties there, which is a great time. They've got beer, the best nachos around, although they keep their secret weapon nachos in the back pocket for when we really push on them to get the J.I. Italian nachos out there. And tons of other good food there. So get down to Cubby Sports Bar and Grill on Main Street in Brookings.
For sure.
I heard they were having a fish fry this week at Lake Koshashanong. I don't know how to say that, but that if you watch Daniel Tosh's podcast, he shouts out that. So you're absolutely right, Thumper. That's the Wisconsin barbecue.
I'm telling you, it's every Friday night. Every Friday
fish fry. Yeah.
Friday fish fry. It is. It's religion up there.
Koshkanong. Do you know where that's at? Koshkanong?
No. There's a lot of lakes in Wisconsin to keep track of. So
I love me a good fish fry.
Oh, we need to make it a thing in South Dakota where Friday night fish fry.
Should.
There's all the places you'd go and you'd have an all you can eat option of fish fry. And I think as far as eating out of the house, that was the only time we would regularly eat out of the house to go get fish fry. So.
I think after watching Joe and Sean's barbecue pictures from Montana, I think I know why Kevin thinks South Carolina barbecue is so good.
Yeah, those. I mean, I'd have to take it. I'd have to taste it.
It didn't look good.
Ariel gave me a funny look when I showed her the picture of it. I was like, "This is a barbecue they're eating." She's like, "What is that brisket?"
Like that.
Yeah, it's something else. I don't know what it is.
I hadn't seen that. Do we want to? Well, I was gonna talk about the other games in the Valley that are, I guess, really USD and DSU, but we'll talk about that on Thursday night. We don't need to talk about that tonight.
We can talk about it now.
We can talk about it. We got time.
Yeah.
Well,
we got a good 45 minutes left.
No, we don't. This is not Late Night with Borg. You idiots went for 2 hours.
I did not want to, dude. I was dragging so hard.
Did that actually causes problems with the amount of storage space we have on StreamYard?
Does it really?
Yeah, it's like a 10th each show.
You can delete them out. You can.
I had to, but yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, obviously a huge matchup between NDSU and USD. NDSU goes down to Vermilion. Did that game sell out yet, or even close to sell out?
Let's check the old green dot tracker and find out.
Yeah. They found Grumpy. They
so apparently I'm frumpy.
we solved the mystery.
On November 17th, there was 1,400 seats left.
That's reported.
1,400?
Yes.
That place only holds how many? What?
Zach, wait until Saturday. Late night with Borg is going until the bracket announcement on Sunday. I can't. I will be on the road. I will be on the road when the bracket announcement's happening because we'll be coming back to Missouri State.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going down there, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think it holds under 10,000. So for them to not even be at 90% capacity yet is just, I mean, what? I don't know. And apparently, apparently NDSU fans aren't traveling very well either. Well, I mean, they used to pride themselves on selling other stadiums out, but
from my friends who are NDSU fans that I talk to, their theory is that USD played a bunch of games last time. They bought tickets a while ago, so a lot of people haven't looked into it. But I think you're right. You're 100% right. They don't travel like they used to.
No. But anyway, about the game itself, Taco King says that NDSU is going to beat USD with ease.
There's 9,100 seats.
9,100.
Yeah, we almost double them on many occasions.
That is from their website.
That's wild. They're only at
construction in 1979. The 9,100 seat facility was one of the first multi-purpose domes in the nation.
It's going to be 20% empty. Anyway,
maybe they get a good walk-up crowd. Who knows? Maybe it depends on the weather since it's a dome.
It's those people that leave tailgating because they have 10,000 that leave tailgating every game, right?
Right.
I see their tailgate. It's smaller than ours.
I am really interested to watch this game. What time is it, that game? Because it's at 1 p.m. Ours is at 2. Because I want to see how USD's defense looks against NDSU. I mean, they looked good against us. I think that USD is a good team. I really do. And I think they can give NDSU some problems. NDSU's been rolling against who, though? I mean, we just kind of laid out how many good teams there are in the FCS right now. And NDSU played us, and they only scored 13 points. And we'll see how they do against USD in Vermilion. I think this could be, I don't know. I could see it going either way, honestly. A lot of people are saying NDSU by a bunch, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, we noted that USD's defense was the real deal when we played them. So I don't think they're quite as good as our defense, though. So that gives the Bison another, I'd say, 10 points or what they scored against us. The Bison defense can probably hold down the Yotes. I think the Bison still win by at least a score. And by that, I mean a touchdown, probably 10. Well, I'd like to see him beat the brakes off of them, honestly, because that just furthers the point that USD should be down the line in the brackets. And if they get down to the 7 or 8 line, that'd make me happy.
So initially my thought immediately after we lost to NDSU is I want USD to win that game to drop NDSU in the seedings. But now that we've had time and seen how this is developing, I want NDSU to win this game because I'd rather have just NDSU in the top, 8 seeds and make USD go on the road than have all 3 schools at home for the majority of the playoffs just because I'm petty. As it pertains to how this game's going to play out, I brought this up with Borg. Brian is very, very confident that USD is going to get just run off the field. This game is a bit similar to me to when they went to Brookings and played SDSU. They had a game at Youngstown. They didn't look great. If you'd looked at that Youngstown game, you'd go, oh, the Jack's going to blow the doors off them. playing for everything in the world. They hadn't beat us, still haven't beat us since the year 2000 in Brookings. Trying to prove a point. It was a huge game for their season, huge amount of emotion in it. Very similar to this game. They go up to NDSU, they go up to UND in Grand Forks. They jump out to a lead in the third quarter. Maybe started feeling like the game was over, looking ahead. UND almost came back, and they barely escaped with a W there and didn't look particularly great doing it. Now they've got an NDSU team who they've been hearing all summer long that they didn't actually care when they played. They weren't focused when they played them the first time. The second time they actually did, and that's why they beat the brakes off of them. And they haven't won against NDSU since the year 2002 in Vermillion, which is crazy at your home field. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion. They're going to have a lot more to play for. USD does. NDSU has the 1 seed to play for, and it's not that I'm doubting that NDSU is going to be locked in and throwing everything at this game. It's not it. I've said before, it's hard to manufacture desperation. USD is looking at the real possibility of being on the road in the quarters if they don't win this game, because besides eye tests, they don't have anything to stand on if they lose this game. And that, and the disrespect feeling they're going to have, I do expect this to be a tight game in the Dome. I still think NDSU wins. I do. But it's the same thing as our offense. Even with our offense hitting its stride right now, am I confident that if we play NDSU or USD, we're going to suddenly put up 35 points? No, those are great defenses. They are very good defenses. I wouldn't be confident. I'm not confident in any offense going against any of the 3 top Dakota schools defenses. I would not be confident in saying any team scores more than 3 touchdowns on them. I'm not. Those defenses are that good. So I have a hard time seeing this running away unless USD throws a couple picks and puts themselves in bad spots, which Bowman hasn't done this year. I mean, USD does have a good offense this year. It's, it's a little different than SDSU's. I do think this is going to be a dogfight. I really do. I'd prefer it not to be. I'd prefer, honestly, NDSU to beat them by 30 and make them look terrible. Just because I already know that I'm pretty certain no matter how this game goes that I know that NDSU is going to host in the semis. I'm pretty certain of it, whether they win, lose, or draw. So I think they're going to have that hunger. You'll put a drink on it that NDSU scores over 21. I didn't say it wouldn't happen. I just said I'm not confident that it would happen. I think this will be a tight game, and I think the final score will probably be at 17 to 21 or 23 range.
Yeah, I was going to say 23, 21. I agree. Yes, Jesse, we play a game this weekend.
Jesse, smartass.
Yeah. We can talk about that game now. Missouri State, obviously an interesting case there. They're transitioning to the FBS. This is their last game in the Missouri Valley, last game as an FCS team. Obviously, we want to send them off the right way. They lost to NDSU last week, 59-21. They've just been hemorrhaging points this year. They are ranked. Their defense is ranked 80th in the FCS at 28.8 points a game. And we, as Brendan mentioned, we're sitting at first in the FCS at 12.73 points per game. They have scored a lot of points this year, though. They're in 6th in the FCS at 37 points a game. We're in 13th at 36 points a game. So, I mean, they're a dangerous team. I think that if we aren't focused, it's a game that, could really screw up our seeding. And it's a game that, prior to the championship run, we saw SDSU teams drop games like this sometimes. And this is the exact situation. We'd be in line for a top 4 seed if we just took care of business, and we dropped one. And, going to Missouri State with a dangerous team like this, they're going to have to be focused and make sure they take care of business. Now, since the championship run, we've seen this team be very focused, no matter who the opponent is and what the situation is. So I'm less worried about that than I've ever been. But obviously, you just got to go take care of business. You're muted.
And Brendan's going to this game.
Yep, I'll be there. I do think this is more dangerous just because of the location. We know defense travels, offense doesn't as much, and that NDSU game up in the Fargo Dome went exactly how I called it. On Scared Money Don't Make Money. I knew they were going to blow the doors off them. It was not a good matchup for Missouri State in that game. At home, they're a little more dangerous. That their home environment and all that. You don't have to fight through the crowd and all that things. They are more dangerous if the defense lets them get a little loose and a little hog wild. I do have faith in the defense, however. The defense has really, really come along. I'd like to see a couple sacks this game. The D-line gets home, gets pressure a lot, but they don't get a ton of sacks. A couple, 2-3 sacks would be great. One thing that was interesting, a friend of mine noted from a family he knows that they were talking about their son who went on a visit at SDSU, and they mentioned the coaching staff, and they were at the Murray State game, and they said, you would not have, you never could have convinced me that they were playing Murray State with how locked in the team and the coaches were before that game. It was unreal. There was no screwing around, nothing. And I feel like this team gets even more that way on the road. I think these seniors are going to be looking to go out. I think it's a bad spot to be if you're Missouri State. Your last couple games against the top teams while you're going to a higher level, and all you've done is gotten your ass kicked by these teams for the last decade and a half, and you're moving up, and now those teams have a point to prove. Borg said that game with NDSU felt like maybe it was a little more personal, and I can't imagine it wouldn't be. When you're stepping on that field and they're moving up, you have to have that, oh, you think you're better than us then, huh? You're the big FBS boys now. That's got to be in the back of your mind a little bit. It puts a little bit of a target back on their back. The Valley used to Valley. I don't even know what that means. Most states.
I think he's talking about when I was saying that SDSU used to drop games like this.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Valley didn't use the Valley. We fixed that problem and stop losing games we shouldn't have. And hey, now we won a couple national titles. It's a miracle.
Be clear, that was us, not the Valley.
Right.
I think this is a game where we see our guys get home a couple times. They have a propensity for giving up sacks. I like the Priest and the boys getting home. Claiborne is an animal. He's gonna get a sack, I think, for sure. So.
Yeah. Do we think we'll see Chase Mason back, or are we going to hold him out?
I'd hold him out.
Play him if you don't need him.
No, yeah. If you don't need him, a close game going into half or something, maybe you dress him. But if you don't have to use him, I don't think you do, because what our 4-string QBs hurt now. So now that Chase goes down again in this Missouri State game, then now you got a problem. Now you got 2 quarterbacks going into the playoffs, and that's not great. So I would think that once you hit the playoffs, then it's Mason time. Similar to Maxwell Woods. I think we see a strong dose of Maxwell Woods because he's got 1 game left, I believe, to play. And I think that he's going to be that kind of X factor brought in, not used obviously the same way as Chase, hopefully. But he's going to be that guy that comes in as kind of the secret sauce.
Yeah, and I could see him I mean, especially since he's got a game of eligibility or a game left to not burn a year of eligibility. Anyway, I think that they could use him to kind of save some wear and tear on Amar and Angel. Probably want to get Kirby some touches, but keeping everybody healthy going into the playoffs is really, going to be the focus. I think playing this game. Obviously, you have to win it, but just need to head into what will be a bye week, healthy, and get ready for a big playoff run.
I tell you what, I would be really excited to see us try and run some of that go offense when we have Chase Mason, Maxwell Woods, Amar, and Angel on the field at the same time, because defenses wouldn't know how to deal with it. If we pulled that off in the playoffs, it would just or save it for a game that we needed for in the playoffs. And for those that aren't familiar with the go offense, that's what UNLV has been running. It's kind of a modified, I don't know what you'd call it, a modified option almost, but they try and bring people up in the box and then beat you deep, and they run a little bit tempo that way too. But man, they've been scoring a lot of points. I'd love to throw a couple plays.
That does not feel very SDSU.
No, it doesn't. But it would
like
be
the tempo that Stig built to me.
It would be cool for a couple plays, like I'm saying, maybe a series, something that they just aren't ready for.
I love it, Chad.
Yeah, I know.
I do have to bring up Northwestern Mutual as our last segment sponsor for today. Northwestern Mutual Sioux Falls and Chris Schenkel. We're proud to be sponsored by them on the program here. There will in Northwestern Mutual in Sioux Falls. They're there for all your personal financial planning and life insurance needs. You can meet with them for free. They will help you get your life sorted out. Even if you do feel like you've got a plan, there's nothing quite like having a professional take a peek at what you're doing. Let's be honest. Most of us don't do personal finance for a living. So, hey, it's nice to have them take a peek at it. Maybe you're happy with what you got, but it's something that can't hurt when they don't charge you for it. Northwestern Mutual Sioux Falls really can take a weight off your shoulders if you don't know where you are on that, and you're just kind of throwing money randomly into the 401k, hoping that's going to be enough. And, maybe I'll retire and there'll be Social Security. It's nice to have that peace of mind. So call down to Northwestern Mutual, get set up, have an appointment with those guys. They'll take great care of you down there. And of course they also sponsor Alex's Lemonade Stand. Kevin of FCS Nation radio fame says look out for a big announcement on Thursday for Alex's Lemonade Stand. Something to look forward to. I'm assuming a big announcement means there's going to be big opportunity to bank extra money to fight childhood cancer. Like we like to say on this show, you're either for childhood cancer or you're against it. So if you like kids with cancer, by all means, don't donate. That's your choice. If you can sleep well at night, that's okay. That's up to you. But Mark, as our boy Jim Poppins says, has a commanding lead right now. But we all know the way it went last year, no lead is commanding enough until the final whistle blows. So let's pump those numbers up. If there's an opportunity that Northwestern Mutual match money and things like that, that'd be great as well. Take advantage of if you've been holding out to make a donation, or maybe you got a Christmas bonus coming and feel a little charitable with it and all that jazz. Also, if you do donate, check with your company. They might do a match. I know my company matches 50%. I just need to get the paperwork over to them. So that's my story, Rory. Really excited to see Mark on top where he belongs.
I love how my son used to be Mr. Nobody. Now he's got a makeshift production company.
Right. MVP Productions.
I love it.
Yeah, I had to put it up there.
Anyway, don't have much else to say about this game. I mean, I expect us to win, obviously. I would think that, as many points as they're giving up, I would not be surprised if we end up with another 50 burger. The A team didn't have any confidence in our defense to hold them under 14 points. I'll go 51-10 is what I'm going to say. So if the defense wants some motivation, they can go listen to the A-team.
Oh, Missouri State can listen to us, I suppose.
That's true.
That's
we have not been shy in our confidence on this one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
well, tune in on Thursday night for Scared Money Don't Make Money. We'll see how the picks went this week, and we'll pick all the Missouri Valley games. And then we'll be waiting for the playoff bracket to come out on Sunday. It's exciting. Yep. Can't believe we're here already.
Exciting times. We got Scared Money Don't Make Money. And then, of course, I will have the live show with Borg, which I'm sure will go incredibly late. I will be trying to broadcast from a hotel lobby. I need to remember my laptop this time and all my gear, but that'll be, I'm sure, no way chaotic or a mess. It's going to all go smoothly, and we'll probably be going until something ridiculous like 3 a.m. Because that's what we do. We're the Degenerates pod, and I should probably just rename the show that the Degens.
You guys are the
Borg and the Degens.
Borg and the
sounds
Degens.
Like a band name. May you want to check out that business center there, Thumper.
What's that?
You may want to check out the business center instead of the lobby.
Right. Well,
Well, with that, like Jim says, like we always say, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.